Lisa, Johar Tsarnaev's defense attorneys pleading to an appeals court today to move the Boston Marathon bombing trial out of Boston. And for the first time, we're actually hearing audio of what happened inside the courtroom. Jim Armstrong was there.
The whole thing is upsetting, so I just want us to get going and move on with our lives.
Liz Norton, whose two sons are marathon bombing survivors, made it a point to attend this hearing, where lawyers for Johar Tsarnaev pleaded with a three-judge appeals court panel to get his trial moved.
Justice has to have the appearance of justice, and there's a need to secure public confidence through proceedings that appear impartial.
Tsarnaev's team arguing the bombings made every single person in the Boston area a victim, since the marathon is such an iconic symbol of the city.
There's nothing wrong with that. It just means that it is not an appropriate place to try this case.
They offered the judges pictures of Boston Strong logos outside the courthouse and examples of stories like the man who shoveled off the finish line to prove, they say, this jury pool is too intimately connected to this case. Prosecutors disagreed.
Exposure to pretrial publicity alone does not disqualify a juror.
But one of the justices pushed back, reading quotes from actual potential jurors to ask if that meant people had already made up their minds.
Quote, why waste time on this guy? You know he's guilty, end quote. If I get picked, I know how I'm voting, guilty, end quote.
Prosecutors say those quotes actually prove their point.
The people who have strong opinions about this case are unhesitatingly admitting them.
And they argue those people won't get picked.
This is a case which received national publicity, so to the extent there are any problems with the jury pool, it's going to be a national problem, not just a Boston problem.
Now, the federal appeals court here in Boston records its oral arguments, as you could hear in my story. The U.S. District Court, where Tsarnaev's actual trial will take place, forbids all recordings. Jury selection, by the way, did continue today and could be done by next week. No word, however, on when the appeals court will rule on today's hearings.